Joanne is a graduate. Joanne is a graduate of the Institute of Holistic Nutrition in Toronto, and she holds a degree in psychology from York University, as well as a diploma in radio and television broadcasting from Seneca College. But Joanne is super accomplished, and I'm just going to give you a few things. So she's an author of papers as well as a book, and she has a company called Fruitful Elements. So check that out at their website, fruitfulelements.com. She has been a broadcaster and had some shows, a host and producer on CBC. She has spoken at many prestigious organizations such as Harvard University and the Mayo Clinic. And she is, which I didn't know, she has been a recipient of the King Clancy Award in 2006, an induction into the Terry Fox Hall of Fame in 2007, and the Gabriel Award in 2008. And these are awards to, in terms of her dedication to raising awareness and assisting Canadians with disabilities. So it's my huge pleasure and privilege to introduce Joanne, and go ahead, Joanne.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Allison. And thank you, everybody, for joining us and for being here to talk about specifically spinal cord injury and nutrition. Just to give you a little more background on myself, about my own history with spinal cord injury. I sustained a spinal cord injury 35 years ago, which is kind of shocking that much time has gone by. And immediately after my SCI, I started having horrific neuropathic pain, fatigue, bladder infections, digestive dysfunction, horrible headaches like several times a week. And I never made the connection that maybe some of these secondary health complications I was having after my injury had something to do with the food that I was eating. So I just kept on eating the same foods that I was eating pre-injury. And all kept happening as I was getting more and more scripts written for more and more medications to address the side effects, which then had side effects, and then there was more scripts. And it just became a really vicious cycle. And after about 12 years of living like this, I had enough. I just couldn't do it anymore. I was feeling so lousy. So I went to my physiatrist and I just said, we need to wipe the slate clean. Let's just start over again. And we did. And one of the things we did was change my diet. And I'm not kidding you when I say I changed my diet, it changed my life. It decreased my pain. Shockingly, by about 90%, my neuropathic pain went down. Bladder infections, gone. I have not taken an antibiotic in over 20 years now. Headaches, rarely I ever get. Increased my energy. And just a side bonus, I lost weight. It just kind of melted off of me. And I was just generally feeling better with all of this. So I thought if I had this kind of improvement, other people might benefit as well. And that's why I gave up my career in television and I went back to school to become a nutritionist, focusing in this area, specifically neurological conditions. But I have to say, what amazed me when studying nutrition for SCI is that despite the studies that are done, and we know the prevalence, we're aware of the negative consequences of the secondary health complications that we face, there was very little information on nutrition and its impact on how to prevent, manage, and address these secondary conditions. So about 13 years ago, myself and another nutritionist who also has a link to SCI community, we came together. We approached Paralyzed Veterans of America for funding to help us write a book about nutrition specific to the needs of people with SCI. And they gave us the money. We spent a couple of years researching, writing, editing this, and we produced a book called Eat Well, Live Well with SCI. And there are 16 chapters, each chapter focusing on a specific secondary health complication. And each chapter is divided into 3 sections. The first section is about the condition, how it develops, why it develops post-SCI, post-injury, and then we give you a strong understanding about how nutrition can help prevent or manage these secondary health complications through foods, herbs, supplementations. The second section is about recipes, where we incorporate a lot of these foods into easy to prepare recipes. And then the last section of each chapter is a chart that gives you, it's like a nutrient chart, dosaging of certain vitamins, minerals we may recommend, and any contraindications. And really the hope in doing this, why I got into this field, why I co-wrote this book, is to help you, other people with spinal cord injuries, empower yourselves with the knowledge that you need to help address secondary health complications, live well. And that's really why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I hope the information today will help you. And I also hope the information will inspire future research in the area. So today, what we're going to be covering, here's the agenda, is why nutrition is so important to our community, to people with SCI. I'm going to give you some very specific spinal cord injury facts about nutrition, common nutrient deficiencies, the benefits of nutrition for us. Then I am going to go over one chapter in my book, specifically spinal cord injury and weight loss. This is one of the #1 things that I deal with. And then I'm going to go over some how to eat well on a budget tips, because inflation's going up, food costs, everything's getting more expensive, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to eat well. I'll tell you right now, I don't. I do not spend a lot of money on food, but I eat very clean. I eat very well. So that's what we're going to cover in the next, we got 45 minutes here. Okay, so let's get started. Some spinal cord injury facts. Studies do show that people with SCI commonly experience poor diets. Why is this? Change in economic status following injury, difficulty with transportation to get out regularly and buy healthy foods, perhaps decreased function ability to prepare foods on a regular daily basis. And this can all lead to common nutrient deficiencies. And if we can go to the next slide, please. Studies show that people with SCI are commonly deficient in these nutrients. Vitamin A, important for immune function and skin health. Vitamins B2, B9, B12, important for nerve function, energy production. Vitamin D, of course, we all know, really important for maintaining bone density, but more and more research that came out during the pandemic is vitamin D is a vitamin, but also a hormone, very important in your immune system. Vitamin E for cardiovascular health, calcium, of course, bone density. Chromium is a micromineral, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, that's very important for maintaining a healthy weight. Magnesium, very important for muscle function, cardiovascular function. Zinc, again, important for immune system, skin health. Fiber, good bowel function, routines. And essential fatty acids, the EFAs, are healthy omega-3 fats that are really important for a number of reasons, including cardiovascular health, joint health. So we tend to be deficient in these, which then can lead to a lot of common issues. If we can go to the next slide, please. When we're deficient in a lot of those nutrients, it can contribute to the development of a lot of common recurring and potentially life-threatening secondary health complications. And studies show that the average person with a spinal cord injury living in the community deals with 7 secondary health complications a year. That's a lot for your body to be dealing with. And when you're dealing with any 7 of these, listed and others that aren't listed, because I ran out of room, it's going to put extra demand on your body for nutrients. And I'm sure all of you sitting at home right now have had at least one, if not more, of these secondary health complications. Nutrition can help prevent and or manage a lot of these conditions. It's one of the reasons why it's so important. And that's, here we go, benefits of nutrition for SCI. It can help improve sleep, believe it or not. Sleep's a big issue for people with SCI, good quality sleep. Balancing blood sugars can help with sleep and improve energy, can help reduce the risk of pressure sores and help your skin heal, can help maintain bone density, critical, especially as we age. It can also help reduce pain and inflammation. And I've highlighted inflammation there because, again, more and more research is showing that inflammation is the root contributing factor to a lot of conditions that we experience. And by reducing inflammation, you can really help a lot of issues like pain, like headaches. Food can also, believe it or not, have a huge impact on your mood. Okay. Obviously, it can help improve your bowel routines, reduce the risk of infections, especially those associated with pressure sores. And studies show that we actually have a higher need for nutrient levels. There's a baseline of nutrients that we need if you're able-bodied, but then if you're injured, we actually need greater levels. So nutrition, very important for that reason. Replenishes nutrients that may be depleted by certain medications that are necessary for us to take. And what we're going to talk about soon, it can help maintain an ideal weight. So massive benefits here for our population. So let's go over now nutrition for weight loss and maintaining a healthy weight with SCI. Before I get started here, medical disclaimer, the information that I am presenting here is recommendations based on my research, but please always consult with your healthcare provider, your physician first, before starting anything new, particularly starting any kind of supplements, because some supplements may have interactions, contraindications with some medications that you may be on. So please always check with your healthcare provider first. Okay, so let's get started with spinal cord injury and weight gain. Like I said, this is one of the biggest issues I deal with my SCI clients. So it is one of the most common secondary health complications. 65% of people with SCI are overweight, with 1/3 of those being obese. And body fat percentage is around 8 to 18% higher in people with SCI compared to our able-bodied counterparts. So right? Our risk is pretty darn high of getting an increase in weight. What are the factors that contribute to weight gain? There's many, which is why it's such a battle for us. So there's changes in body composition, right? We lose muscle mass, gain fat mass. We actually have a lower metabolic rate. It's estimated, I think it's about 14 to 27%. That's a lot, a drop in your metabolism. Certain medications like pain medications can cause weight gain. Reduced physical activity. Obviously, we're not using our big muscles, our legs, our glutes to burn glucose. We also, as I was just mentioning, we tend to have poor diets. And like I did, we continue to eat our pre-injury portion sizes. It doesn't help with gaining weight. And like I've just mentioned, we're at a higher risk of nutrient deficiencies. So that can contribute to weight gain as well, especially if we're low in things like chromium, which is a micromineral. Again, change in economic status can make a difference. The ability to have transportation to go out and buy food on a regular basis, healthy foods. We have hormonal changes. Hormones have a huge influence on weight gain and weight loss. Inflammation, again, studies show that people with SCI are systemically inflamed. And when I say inflamed, I mean microscopic inflammation in your tissues and your cells. When you have inflammation in your tissues and your cells, it makes the weight loss process more difficult. We also have glucose intolerance, and we have poor carbohydrate metabolism following injury. We also tend to have insulin resistance. So there's a lot of issues here, which is why it is an uphill battle for us for the rest of our lives. When you're in a chair, spinal cord injury, trying to keep that weight off and maintained. It's difficult, right? It really is. And here are some other associated secondary health complications with carrying excess weight. So it's going to put increased pressure on your joints, which makes wheeling, transferring harder. It decreases circulation. We already have decreased circulation. Again, fat cells actually produce pro-inflammatory cytokines, which causes more inflammation and then more difficulty losing weight. It causes fatigue, contributes to cardiovascular disease. It can compromise bowel and bladder routines, can contribute to poor sleep, depression, insulin resistance, high blood pressure, fatty liver, again, the hormonal imbalances, difficulty breathing depending on your level of injury, increased risk of blood clotting, reduced life expectancy, reduced immune function, stress on your kidneys, and increased risk of pressure sores. So again, maintaining an ideal weight is so important to help prevent some of these secondary conditions from developing. Okay. So ideal calorie intake for someone with a spinal cord injury has been determined. And I don't really count calories, but people always want to have a benchmark of what they should be aiming for. And what is important for you to know is that our calorie intake is lower than it was pre-injury because metabolism drops. We don't have our big muscles burning the glucose the same way. So what has been determined, if you are a paraplegic, you take your ideal body weight, if it's in pounds, convert it, divide by 2.2 to get your kilograms. and you times it by 28. So 28 calories per kilogram of ideal body weight is how many calories you're aiming for a day. If you have a quadriplegia, what you're looking for is you take the same ideal body weight, divide by 2.2 for the kilograms, and you times it by 23. So it's 23 calories per kilogram of ideal body weight. So you can see the difference there in calorie needs, quadriplegia versus paraplegia. So that's what is recommended for the two different categories of spinal cord injury. What is your ideal weight? Okay, if we can go to the next slide, please. This is what's been determined through studies as well. And you can calculate this if you want. We can send these slides to you individually if you want later, if you want to calculate this. But you can see there is a formula here. So for a male paraplegia, you take 110 pounds for the first 5 feet, another 5 pounds for each inch afterwards, and then you reduce 5 to 10% of that. That's your ideal body weight. And then you can see listed there, same for female paraplegia, and then quadriplegia, male and female, slightly different calculations. But these are important, like just benchmarks to have in your mind, to know where around that you should be in terms of weight and calorie consumption, okay? What I also included here is body mass index. A lot of people go by body mass index. Our body mass index is not the same as able bodies. So this is another chart where there's an adjusted BMI index for spinal cord injury. So you can see the difference there and see where you sit on body mass index, okay? So these are just some reference charts for you. The next reference chart that I'm giving to you here is, again, when calorie counting is really difficult. It's good to have a benchmark, but counting calories all day, it gets tedious. No one sticks to it. When I work with clients, I go with serving sizes. It's easier to visualize and keep track of. So this is a chart, again, if you want to reference this, if you want to have this sent to you, reference the chart and you'll hear me talking as I go through my recommendations for weight loss. How many servings, how many handfuls? It's easier to keep track that way for me and my clients. So this is another reference point for you. Okay, so let's get started on my recommendations specifically for having an ideal weight with spinal cord injury. So number one, this is the big one. Reduce your grain sources, excuse me, of carbohydrates. Okay. Carbohydrates are our brain and our body's preferred fuel source. We get them from fruits, vegetables, legumes, and whole grains. The whole grains tend to be the culprit, though, for putting on weight, particularly with a spinal cord injury, okay? So, as I mentioned just not that long ago, people with SCI have poor carbohydrate metabolism. One of the reasons why it's so easy for us to put weight on. Once we digest our grains, basically, they are converted to sugar, glucose. Doesn't matter whether it's, say, white bread, white pasta, white rice. Once it's in our stomachs, it's broken down, it's digested, it's glucose. Glucose is sugar. So when you're having white sources of any kind of grain, white has very little fiber. When you eat it, it gets digested quickly and it skyrockets your blood sugar, it skyrockets your insulin levels. That contributes to weight gain. What you want to do is not only reduce your grains, make sure the ones you're eating are whole grains. So what I mean by that is whole grain bread, brown rice, whole grain pasta. The fiber in those sources are going to slow the release of sugar into your bloodstream, which means you're going to have nice balanced blood sugars. You're going to have nice balanced insulin levels. You're not having the up and down of your blood sugars. So it's going to help stabilize your blood sugars, which stabilizes your weight, okay? So you're going for whole grain versions, but you're still going for a reduced amount. What I recommend is 1 slice of whole grain bread, or say a half cup of brown rice, or a half cup of whole grain pasta like spelt or kamut. Okay, this is the big one, and people usually are like, okay, well, I'm going to starve. What am I going to eat? What you're going to do, number 2, thank you, increase your legumes and lentils. These are also carbohydrates, but they are loaded with fiber to stabilize your blood sugar and insulin levels. They also contain protein. So Yes, you're going to reduce your grains, but you're going to start to eat things like chickpea salads, hummus, black bean salads, black bean soups, or lentil soups, lentil salads. So you're still getting carbohydrates, but you're getting protein and fiber. Have, 1 or 2 servings a day, like a cup. If you think for your own personal built-in serving size, think of your handful, about a cup or a handful. So you could have a couple cups of a chickpea salad for lunch, lots of nice vegetables in it. It will fill you up, I promise. You will not starve by eating this way. Okay, so now let's go on to number 3. This is a big one, and I just kind of mentioned it a minute ago. Balancing blood sugar levels. This is so key. As I said, you want to have balanced blood sugars, so you have balanced insulin levels. And when you don't have the up and down of blood sugar and insulin all day, you don't get the same weight gain going on. So how do you balance blood sugars? Well, you don't eat as many grains, like I just said. You have legumes, lentils that have protein and fiber in them. Here's a couple other ways to help balance your blood sugars. Eat protein for breakfast. If we can go to the next slide, please. Okay, so why do you want to have protein for breakfast? Studies show that people who eat protein for breakfast versus, say, toast, bagels, cereal, actually help maintain their blood sugar and insulin levels throughout the day. So I know it's really fast and easy to have a bowl of cereal or go through a drive-through and have a nice toasted bagel, but that skyrockets your blood sugar first thing in the morning, and what goes up must come down. And then you get that up and down of blood sugar and insulin throughout the day. But studies also show when you get that skyrocket of sugar in the morning, blood sugar, it actually increases your cravings and you consume more calories throughout the day. So if you can have a protein smoothie or some eggs or some plain Greek yogurt for breakfast, and that's easy to fast too. Like if you don't have time in the morning, just have like 3/4 cup of Greek yogurt, maybe throw in some hemp seeds in there. Great way to start your day. And you want to have protein at every meal. Protein for breakfast, protein for lunch, protein for dinner. It will really help keep those blood sugars stable throughout the day. Okay. Another one here is, please, this is so big, eliminate refined processed sugars. So the World Health Organization recommends that women have 6 teaspoons of sugar a day, men no more than 9 teaspoons. Some people are drinking pop or sport drinks, which can have, 42 grams of sugar in it. That's like 10 teaspoons of sugar in one drink. And people who are drinking a couple of those all day long, you are skyrocketing your blood sugars. Not only that, excess refined sugar contributes to weight gain, obesity, mood swings, inflammation, I was talking about a minute ago, poor sleep, fatigue, hormone imbalances, insulin resistance. It also can contribute to things like high triglycerides, which are fat globules in the blood, not a good thing, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. So get rid of any kind of refined processed sugar. And sometimes with my clients, we just start with pop. I have clients that are drinking 2 liters of pop a day. You stop that, it's amazing how quickly the weight can drop and you feel better, right? It's terrible on your gut. So that's a really great way to help balance your blood sugars, is get rid of that really bad refined sugar. Okay, number 4. Reduce your fruit intake. This might sound weird because yes, fruits are healthy, but if you're trying to lose weight, you do want to reduce sugars. So what I say is, for those of you who want to lose weight, try and stick to 1 low sugar fruit a day. Okay. So those are things like apples, pears, berries. They have lots of fiber in them. And you can have a cup of berries or 1 apple or 1 pear. That's great. Try and stay away from the high sugar fruits like bananas, mango, papaya, not grapes. Not that these are bad fruits. They have lots of, vitamin C in them. But again, like bananas, for instance, they're starch. When you eat them, it's digested. It basically turns to sugar. And for those of us with poor carbohydrate metabolism, it's not great for weight loss. So just try and stick to 1 low glycemic fruit a day. All right, the next number 5 thing I would like you to do, increase your vegetable intake. I was mentioning off the top, we tend to have nutrient deficiencies. Vegetables are loaded with vitamins, minerals. They're also loaded with fiber, right? So again, balance those blood sugars, support those nice bowel routines. What you're looking for is 5 or more servings of vegetables a day. What's a serving? About a handful. Keep it simple. So let's say for lunch, you had 5 handfuls of spinach as a salad, put a piece of chicken or fish on there. It's not as much as you think, right? Like, it's just when you think of a handful as a serving, you can do that. Maybe 1 or 2 servings of broccoli, cauliflower steamed for dinner. You can fit them in and the fiber will fill you up. Okay. All right. Next tip here is increase healthy fats. Okay, this might sound a bit strange because we're trying to lose weight. Good fats help burn bad fats. And when I talk about good fats, I'm talking about things like omega-3s. Omega-3s reduce inflammation in the body. So like I said earlier, reducing microscopic inflammation helps supports the weight loss process. Omega-3 fats are wonderful for your brain, for your heart, for your joints, for your skin, but they also reduce inflammation. So it's supporting weight loss. So try and eat fish 3 or 4 times a week. Salmon's wonderful for those omega-3s. By all means, please try to avoid trans fats. Those are man-made fats, highly inflammatory. They're usually put into packaged foods to help preserve them. So they stay on our shelves longer. So they're great for your shelf life, not for your life. So just stick to nice omega-3 fats, or even olive oils are really great. Almonds, walnuts, snack on those. They're really wonderful. And for weight loss, what I recommend, there's different types of supplements of healthy fats. There's omega-3s, and even within omega-3s, there's different kinds. There's DHA, EPA, but for weight loss in particular, what studies show is there is one called CLA, and literally if you go to Amazon or you go to a health food store, CLA helps with reducing belly fat in particular. So for weight loss, what you would want to take is 3 to 4 1,000 milligrams of CLA a day. This is one of the factors, though, that I say please check with your healthcare provider or your physician first before starting any kind of fish oil, because they do actually help thin your blood. They're a natural blood thinner. So if anybody is on blood thinning medication, you don't want to combine them. You can go on a very low dose of an omega-3 or a CLA, but please check with your health provider first. Okay. All right. In terms of other supplements, I've mentioned this. It's a micro mineral, chromium. Chromium is in our soil. It's all natural. And usually when our fruits and vegetables grow, we eat our fruits and vegetables, then we get chromium. What chromium does is it helps our cells become more sensitive to insulin, and insulin helps get the sugar in our blood into our cells to be utilized as a fuel instead of being stored as fat. But the way we monocrop and grow our food these days, most fruits and vegetables do not contain the same kind of chromium that our grandparents were eating in their fruits and vegetables. So you can actually take a chromium supplement, and it's any weight loss program that's out there, the kind of magic or secret ingredient, whether it's a drink or a pill, is chromium. So on Amazon or your health food store, you can actually get chromium supplements, and you're looking at a dosage of about 200 to 400 micrograms a day. Again, please check with your healthcare provider. If you're pre-diabetic or diabetic and you're on any blood sugar lowering medication, you should not be on chromium. So don't do that. Check with your healthcare provider first. But what I recommend is taking this until you hit your weight loss goal, and then you can stop taking the chromium. Okay. And again, it's all natural. It is a micro mineral. So just to give you a client case of someone that I worked with several years ago, a 50-year-old gentleman. He was a C5, 6, 7 incomplete quadriplegia. He was 3 years post-injury, and in that 3 years, he'd gained 40 pounds, which is not atypical. And so he really wanted to lose that weight, better function, just to feel better. And the other problem was he had developed a pressure sore on his coccyx because of the excess weight that he was carrying. So I put him on a very, very similar program to what I just went through with you. And if we can go to the next slide, what the outcome was for him is he lost 40 pounds in 20 weeks. And what's interesting is this fellow, just prior to meeting with me, he had been working out for 2 hours a day on an arm bike and a body weight support treadmill 5 times a week, and the weight was not coming off. But when he combined that fitness with this weight loss program, 40 pounds in 20 weeks. Now, this was unusual, that kind of rapid weight loss, but everybody's different. But what was great is self-esteem went up, energy levels went up, all these other benefits went up, transfers, everything was just better for him, sleep. So it can be done. This was unusual weight, very, very rapid weight loss, but it can be done. And everybody's different. Some people lose weight quicker in combination with exercise. Some people are great just with the diet. So, get to know your own system and how it works best. But I always promote exercise because, it's good for us anyways. So those are my recommendations for losing weight with a spinal cord injury. What I do want to also go through now, we still got some time here. I'll try and leave 5 or 10 minutes at the end for questions, is talk about how to eat well while living on a budget, because pretty much we're all on a budget now with the way inflation's going. And I do want to say that changing your diet is not easy. It's a lifestyle change. And if you're living with a spinal cord injury, you already have a lifestyle change. Changing your diet on top of that is another lifestyle change. So it's not easy, and I'm not saying it is. So these are tips that you can slowly integrate. Please do not put pressure on yourself to do all of this at once, but give yourself like a week, 2 weeks, every week, maybe introduce something new that I'm going to talk about. Okay, just to try and make these lifestyle changes and eat well on a budget. Okay, so they're simple, but there can be vital things. So number 1, and I'm sure you've heard a lot of these tips before, make a weekly plan. If we can go to the next slide, please. I know this seems simple. We've all heard of it, but you would be amazed how much this really does work. When you actually write it down, you're more likely to stick to it and not exceed your grocery list and your budget. So really try and make a list and stick to it. Think about what you want in the coming week. 2 or 3 big meals, make lots for leftovers. So you're not spending a lot of money, but make a list and don't go shopping hungry. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it is so true. You will buy more if you're hungry when you shop, and you're probably going to buy stuff that you don't really need and that maybe not that healthy for you. Okay, number 2, eat whole foods. What do I mean by this? I mean foods that come in their own packaging. So if it's an apple, if it's, berries, some kind of vegetable, grains, beans, nuts, seeds, these are all really high in nutrients, high in protein, high in fiber, and the fiber will fill you up faster, so you will eat less and save more. When you avoid things like frozen meals, packaged foods, it can make such a difference. Packaged foods, processed foods have very little fiber. You eat them, they raise your blood sugars. And like I said, what goes up must come down. You're hungry again, you're going to reach for the next fast food to fill you back up again. And it just becomes a vicious cycle. There's nothing healthy in there, and you're gaining weight. So honestly, whole foods in their real packages. If it's coming in a box, it has more than 5 ingredients, don't buy it. It's way too much in there. Right? It's just don't, right? Just really be picky about what you're eating. Okay. Next one, I just want to give you a little demonstration of what $10 can buy. This is on slightly older stats, but everything's gone up, whether it's in a supermarket or in restaurants. So it's still comparable, but just to show you, like, buying whole foods, how far it can get you versus buying one fast food meal. So going through McDonald's, Big Mac, large fries, large soda, a couple cookies and a yogurt, one meal, $10. This is, like I said, old stats, probably more than that now. Go to your Freshco, go to a Bulk Barn. I love Bulk Barns. They have amazing stuff there. Get yourself some milk, a half pound of green beans, a loaf of whole grain, whole wheat bread, a pepper, a couple bananas, some chicken, and some broccoli. It's amazing. You're going to get a couple meals out of the same money. And I am so big on batch cooking, freezing stuff, eating it the next day. Save yourself some money. So you can see the difference. Yes, it's easy, it's convenient. Go through the drive-through, but really you're throwing money out the window and you're doing nothing for your health, and you're just gaining weight. Okay, so number 3, build your meals a couple times a week from grains, from legumes. instead of meat. Meat is so expensive, and you don't necessarily need to be eating meat every single dinner. If you can have a nice chili with beans, or a lentil soup, or a quinoa salad, those are amazing. Eat that a few nights a week. Great for your health and great for your bank account. Okay, it's got tons of nutrients in there as well, and support the bowel function. And let's just compare here. If we look at a comparison of nutrients from that Burger King burger versus, say, a bean salad for dinner, you can see, like, in terms of nutrients and calories, the Burger King, that one meal, the burger, it's one meal at a higher cost than, say, a chickpea salad there. By the way, this chickpea salad I make all the time. You, with the Burger King, are getting more than double the calories. You're getting almost twice the fat. It contains trans fats, which I just said you do not want. Beans have no trans fats. You're getting higher protein in the bean salad. You're getting less hormones, antibiotics, which are pumped into those meats. You're almost getting triple the carbs in that meal. And you're getting a lot higher salt, which we do not necessarily need. And you're getting less than half the fiber. So this chickpea salad, I'm not kidding you, it's one of my favorites. It's so simple. I also throw some mint in there. It's like a few meals, and I stick it in Tupperware, and I will eat it for lunch. I will eat it as a snack. I will eat it for dinner. It's amazing how far your money can go, okay, by doing this. And if you wanted to, like I said, go to Bulk Barn, 99 cents for a can of chickpeas, a big can. It's great. You got a few meals in there. And I've mentioned this a couple times, buy and cook in bulk. It saves time, it saves money. So whether it be on a Sunday with your friends, with your kids, with your spouse, make a couple of big meals, stick them in Tupperware in the fridge, or individualize, package them into the freezer so you can just grab them out during the week. And it really is such a convenient way. I always cook like this, whether I'm barbecuing in the summer. I never cook one chicken breast, I'll cook 4. Salmon, I'll always do 2. So it just saves me time during the week, okay? And it does save you money, okay? So batch cook all the way. This is a big one, skip the middle aisles. A lot of research, psychology goes into the design and development of grocery stores, the music they pump in there, emotional music to get you to buy more comfort foods. Just skip the middle aisles. You listen to the music less. Do the parameter, okay? Your whole grains, your fruits, vegetables are all on the outsides of your grocery store. I never hit the middle aisles unless I need to get some paper towel or some toilet paper. I literally get in, I know what I want, I've got my list, I go around the parameter and I get out. And I do not look at anything that's in that aisle when you're checking out, because I love to throw candy bars in there. One last ditch attempt to get you to buy more. Just don't stick to the parameters. That's where your whole foods are in your grocery store. Okay. Next one is buy local and in season. I know not right now, we're in the winter, but come spring, summer, fall, markets are all over the place in Ontario. Look and see where local farmers market is. It's a lovely way to spend a Saturday or a Sunday morning or afternoon. You can get some nice cheap fruits and vegetables, and it's fun. It's entertainment. So, and support your local farmer. So that's a nice way to get some stuff. And next one here, grow your own vegetables or herbs. I do this every summer. I do not have a garden. I have big planters out back. I love fresh herbs. They are loaded with nutrients, and I grow them all summer. And to me, I find it very therapeutic. I love watching them grow. I love pestos. I love basil. So I usually have a couple containers of basil, and I make all my own pesto. And the time you snip it all off, you've got another regrowth for another batch of it, not that long after that. But when you add these into your foods, great flavor. It's so much cheaper than buying them. And it's just a nice thing to do. And if you have a balcony, put some pots out in your balcony. It's amazing what you can grow. The next one here is organic is not necessary. People ask me this a lot. Do I have to buy organic? No. If you're going to put your money into anything organic, do your meats so you don't get the antibiotics and the hormones. Fruits and vegetables, just wash them well. They say, I think the average apple, by the time it lands on your table, has been sprayed 17 times, but just wash it really well and get the pesticides off. You don't have to buy, because it is more expensive, the organic fruits and vegetables. And this is a big one for me. I hate throwing out food. It is a pet peeve of mine. My friends laugh when they come to my house. My fridge is, they think it's almost bare. I only buy enough every 2 weeks to last me 2 weeks. I use what I buy. I refuse to throw food out. It's such a horrible waste, especially now. If things start to wilt, then throw them in the freezer or blend them. Put them in a stew, put them in a soup, put them in a smoothie. The nutrients are still there, but you don't have to throw them out. And there's all sorts of tips and tricks about like celery in this picture. Wrap it in tin foil, for example, stays longer. Avocados, put in some water, a bowl of water in your fridge. They last longer. So there's lots of tips out there to make your food last longer in the fridge, but only buy what you know you're going to use. Okay. And if it starts to get near the expiration of it, don't necessarily throw them out. There's still nutrients in there. Okay. So shop app hours. This is another one. Do a date night with your spouse on a Saturday night. You can get cheaper deals and lots of sales on a Saturday night at the grocery store or a Monday morning. You can get some good deals. I usually try to go on a Monday or Tuesday because things are cheaper, especially chicken. So that's just another little tip to look at. Yeah. They can always check. They have great apps now, right, to check on deals at grocery stores. So I hope that helps in terms of some tips to save some money and eat well on a budget. And I'll give myself a few more minutes to kind of fly through some additional tips here for you. Read your labels really, really well. It looks quite overwhelming and confusing. What am I looking at here? And you look at this label. I'm going to tell you a couple things to look at so you know how to read labels. If you can go to the next slide, please. Okay, so these are some of the big things to look out for. Serving size, calories, fat, sodium, sugar, fiber, ingredient lists. That's the things you really want to look for when you turn that package over. And if we can go to the next slide, please. When it comes to serving size, often people will see, oh, well, it's only this many calories per package. No, it could actually be X amount of calories per serving. So you might have a big package of something with many servings in there. Make sure you look at what the calories are per serving in that package, whatever it is you're looking at. That's a big one, okay? Next thing you want to look at, if we go to the next slide, please, ingredient list. Thank you. Ingredients are listed from most to least. So you always want to see, like if you're looking at pasta, a whole grain right off the top there. You never want to see sugar in the top 3 ingredients. If you see sugar near the front, then there's a lot of sugar in that product. Put it back. So always remember, ingredients most to least, and you want to see the bigger items like a whole grain pasta right off the top there, okay? And next slide, please. Look at your fats, okay? So this can be really deceiving because it's really good marketing. When you see low in fat, this became really big in the 80s and it's stuck around for a very long time. When you remove fat from food, you're removing the sense of satisfaction. Healthy fats in our food make our food delicious and give us that sense of satisfaction. When you remove fat, things taste bland. It's not that satisfying. So what food manufacturers do is they add sugar and salt to it to make it taste better. So you may have low fat now, but what you've got is higher sugar and higher salt, which is not doing your health any favors. So actually don't buy low fat. Look for full fat, whole fat. Our bodies know how to process it. Just for an example, say you do a Greek yogurt, look for full fat. Okay, if you're only eating 3/4 cup of that, our bodies know how to metabolize that full fat. When you have low in fat, you're going to be loaded up with sugar there and salt. Don't do it. Also, again, I'm going to say it again, avoid trans fats at all costs. These are man-made fats, highly inflammatory. They do absolutely nothing for our health. And also read those ingredient lists for any kind of hidden fats that may be in there. The next thing you want to look at is sugar. Okay, so you always want to look at how many grams of sugar. When you look at the ingredient list, the magic number you want to look for is 5. You never want to see your sugar content in your food, whatever you're buying, over 5 grams. If it's over 5 grams per serving, that's a lot of sugar. So 5 or less is ideally what you're looking for. And don't be fooled by things that say no added sugar. Like you might have a fruit juice. is loaded with natural fructose, natural sugars, which can be very high in calories and very hard on your liver. So it might have no added refined sugar, but it might be naturally high in natural sugar. So again, look at the magic number 5, okay? 5 or less is what you're looking for sugar. And fiber, you always want to see 5 or more. So just remember 5. Sugar, 5 or lower, 5 or higher. Okay, and salt. Oh, sorry, let's go to this first. Nope, sugar substitutes. Okay, avoid these. World Health Organization recently, last year, came out with, they proclaimed that, or they deemed things like aspartame, fake sugars, are potential carcinogenics. If it's a potential, you don't want it. Also, studies show is that these products don't work. They've been around since the 80s, right? In our drinks, in our foods, people are not losing weight, they're gaining weight. And studies show that if you drink a lot of these products, it actually stimulates your appetite. You consume more calories throughout the day because you're having a sweet drink, you're having a sweet food. The calories are not actually delivered to your body, but your body's looking for them. So you actually start to crave more high sugar foods throughout the day. You eat more and gain weight. So avoid them. They're not natural. Go for natural sugars in your fruits. Avoid these sugar substitutes. And salt, it's estimated that 75 to 80% of our salt comes from packaged foods. So if you're not buying packaged foods, then you're not getting the excess salt that most people are consuming. That's estimated that people are eating 3 to 4 times the amount of salt they actually need. So if you're not buying packaged foods and you're putting some nice sea salt on your food at home, then you know you're getting some minerals in your food from your sea salt, and you're not getting an excess amount of it, okay? And don't be fooled again by marketing. You'll see all sorts of like packages, even juices saying made with omega-3, contain omega-3, or they're light, or they're made with whole grains. There's usually not enough in there to make a difference to your health. So there might be a spattering of whole grains, say in one of these cereal boxes here, but it's not enough to really increase your fiber content and help manage your bowel routines. If there's a little bit of omega-3 in margarine, which you can sometimes see that, I guarantee there is not enough omega-3 in that margarine to make a difference to your health. You're looking for 3 to 4 grams of omega-3 a day. There's probably like 0.3 in your margarine, which means you need to eat half a tub of that margarine to get the amount of omega-3 you need. And you don't want to be doing that. It's not healthy. And light can sometimes actually refer to the color or the texture, not necessarily like the fat content. So again, great marketing, read your labels, buy whole foods, and you can avoid all of this marketing. Okay. And lastly, for a lot of people I work with who can't make a lot of food in terms of they don't have the hand dexterity to be chopping, cooking food, drinking your nutrients is totally fine. A lot of people I work with who have issues with dexterity, cooking, or even swallowing, there's no reason why you can't have smoothies and soups and still get really good nutrient-dense foods. What was his name? There's I'll remember the book in a minute. Oh, Montel Williams, that's it. He has MS. He 75% of his diet is liquid. It's easier on his digestive system, easier on his body. He has better energy. So he drinks 75% of his food, which I think is amazing. And he still gets, you look at him, he's still a machine, lots of muscles with his MS. So you can drink your nutrients. Next slide. Buy wild fish over farmed fish. Farmed fish tend to be fed grain pellets, and they tend to be sick fish, diabetic fish, and they don't produce the same omega-3 fats that wild fish have. And a lot of people are eating fish for the omega-3s. But if it's a farmed fish, you're not necessarily getting those omega-3s. So always buy wild caught fish. And if you're not sure, ask your butcher. And always use butter over margarine. Margarine, man-made, butter is real. We've been eating butter for centuries, and it's actually an antimicrobial. It's got vitamin A, vitamin K, vitamin E. It tastes better. You don't need a lot to get that delicious flavor. Put it on your broccoli. I just had a huge thing of broccoli last night with a couple pats of butter. It was delicious, and some sea salt. That was my dinner. I loved it. And olive oil, going back to budget here, it's expensive. Absolutely, but it's also very healthy. So save your olive oil for your salads or putting it on your vegetables. When you heat it, it's a very delicate oil and it can go rancid when exposed to air, to heat, and to light. So buy it in a dark bottle, keep it in your cupboard. use it on your salads and your vegetables. And you can cook with butter. Butter can actually sustain high heats without going rancid. So there's some extra little tips for you there. And lastly here, like I said just a few minutes ago, one step at a time. I've given you a lot of information. Where do you start? I don't expect anybody to do all of this overnight. I certainly didn't. It took me a long time to change my diet. And it was worth it. Absolutely. It changed my life. But if it's easier for you to start with breakfast for a week or two, and then lunch, and then dinner, and then snacks, and then drinks, or in reverse, whatever order works for you, just start to make the changes. And sometimes the littlest changes can make the biggest difference. So I've left 3 minutes here for some questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Joanne, so much. That's an awesome presentation. So much info and a really practical thing. So I'll start with the chat there. Delyn Bordis asked, is there preferred or recommended protein powder?
I would say buy it from a health food store just to make sure it's a cleaner protein powder. But a whey protein powder is easily absorbed. And just go to your local health food store, and they carry good brands, what they call professional brands. And when I say professional brand, what it means is there's no additives to it. There's no, like, they can actually put a lot of artificial flavors, artificial colors, and fillers in there, which you do not want. But when you go to a health food store, they tend to carry very clean brands. So I would just do that, because there's lots of great ones out on the market. One of my favorites, not that I'm not getting any promotion from any of these companies, but Progressive and Designs for Health, I think taste very good, and I know they're very clean products.
Thanks. Al, you have a question?
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
You talked about CLA and chromium. Is there a one-a-day supplement that you would recommend that contains both?
No. So one's a micromineral, one is a healthy fat. So they would never combine them in one supplement. You would have to buy them individually.
Okay. And one last question. I often have like yogurt and berries and a little bit of granola for breakfast. Is there something I could substitute for granola that would be a little bit better?
Yep, absolutely. And I'll tell you what I did, because I used to do the same thing. So every morning I have the exact same breakfast. I have about 3/4 to a quarter cup of Greek yogurt. I put in about a half cup of blackberries, and I used to do granola, and I've now switched out for hemp seeds. So hemp seeds contain omega-3 fats, which I've just talked about quite a bit, contains a lot of fiber, contains protein. They're delicious, and they actually give you the same kind of textural crunch that a granola would, but you got less calories and so many more health benefits by having the hemp seeds. And if you don't want hemp seeds, you could do ground flax seeds or chia seeds.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Just one more, maybe.
What's that?
Red wine. How bad is alcohol? You never
I mean,
talked about
it's
it.
the one thing I say to people is I'll never take away people's joy. So whether it's, a glass of wine a couple times a week, or some dark chocolate, or some coffee, those things have antioxidants. Red wine, dark chocolate, coffee, they're actually not that bad for you. But coffee, I say no more than 2 a day. Dark chocolate, no more than 2 squares a night. And red wine, couple glasses a week, right? It's social, and there's such a social component to food and comfort and being with family and friends. You just don't want to be having a couple glasses every night. So calories are going to go up that way too. But a couple times a week, you're okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Joanne, I might ask a question in terms of, you were talking about some of the nutrients and deficiencies at the very beginning. We sometimes get patients coming in wanting to test for some of those things. Some are a little easier to test for than others, in that I'm not sure how accurate some of the blood testing is and that kind of stuff. Plus, there can be a cost to doing some of it. Do you recommend that these things be tested, or do you just recommend that people do the proper diet and assume that they would get?
No, no, you know what? If you vitamin D is the only one I'd say get checked. It's so critical for our population. But in terms of other nutrient levels, there's so many great apps out there. Like there's one called Chronometer that you can go and you can log in all your food every day, what you eat, and it will literally tell you how much vitamin A, vitamin C, B vitamins that you're getting. So you don't need to test for those things. You can get free apps online on your Apple phone, whatever it is. You just have to punch it in, put how much you put in every day, and it will give you an average of what you're consuming. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, great idea.
Yeah.
I see Delin Bordas has mentioned canned salmon. What's your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. And if you're so inclined, the canned salmon has little bones in it, crush it up and eat that too for some extra calcium. Yeah.
Right. Any final question to Joanne?
Amy, I have a question.
Yeah, go Steve.
Joanne, I have your book, by the way.
Oh, great.
If I buy a bag of frozen broccoli at Costco, am I getting the same nutrients from that?
You might actually be
as
getting
ahead of
better
broccoli?
nutrients. Sorry, what was that?
Am I getting the same nutrients as let's say ahead of broccoli?
Yeah, no, you actually might be getting more nutrients that way because they flash freeze vegetables. And so, which means basically they're frozen so quickly after they're picked. And so the nutrients are really maintained in there. So all my vegetables are pretty much frozen. So it's absolutely, you're getting great nutrient levels. You want to preferably steam your vegetables. If you boil them, you're going to leach out a lot of those nutrients. But yeah, vegetables that are sitting around a little bit in the supermarket might actually lose some nutrient value. So frozen's totally fine. And again, you're not, wasting anything because it's frozen and you only use what you need, right?
Correct. Thank you.
Yeah,
Perfect.
you're welcome. Okay.
Good. Well, I'll wrap up. I really want to thank Joanne. I think that was awesome. Visit her website, check out her book. They're both excellent. We will be posting the slides, and then I think Allison and then we'll send out our link as well to where you can see previous webinars that we've had. And just stay tuned. In the next few months, we'll send out some invites to our upcoming webinars as well.